Hi listeners, I'm T, a mum of two.
And I'm Roz, T's mum.
Welcome to another episode of the Property Mamas UK podcast.
I would now like to talk about a course that I attended in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yep.
It was a refurbishment course, and it was run by Rob Salmon and Julie Whitworth.
The builder investor.
Builder investor, that's it. Yes, the builder investor. So you will have seen him if you're on your socials. You will definitely see him, especially as the name suggests. He's a builder and he invests. He runs a company, and he's very successful, very much out there. And I think he found that there was a gap in the market for people finding information on how to just cost up a refurb.
Yeah,
there's a lot to it. People just sort of think you go into a house or flat, whatever, and you look around and think, oh, it needs a new kitchen, oh, it needs a new bathroom, oh, there's a bit of a creaky floor,
You pluck a figure out of the air.
Yeah, and that's literally what people do. They think, oh yeah, it would be probably a rip out, and it would be about 30,000 to get it up to speed, or to get it how you want it. But there's so much more to it than that. I mean, he went from looking at the outside of the building, what to look out for on the outside, and then he went room to room to room to room, from the ground floor up, and literally highlighting issues that you need to be mindful of. And he was saying things like, people start at the top and make their way down. And he said, yeah, if that's your method, fine. But doing it from ground floor up kind of makes sense. There's kind of a logic to it. And he said, and the thing about it is that it doesn't matter what basically happens in between all those floors, but you will get to the roof, and that's the major bit. That's the major bit. It is something that you really need to be mindful of. And he said, and it's amazing how many people go into a property and they say, oh, does it have an attic? Does it have a loft or whatever? And then the estate agent will say, yeah. And they'll be like, oh, okay then. And that's it. They pop off. It's like it having a loft.
Today.
Okay, and then they go, and off they go. They don't, but it's like it having a loft obviously means something to them, and they're probably thinking, oh, I can extend it, I can do this, but they haven't had a look at it. They don't know what this loft is. They don't know whether it's big enough for an extension. There are things with a loft that you just poke your head through, and already you're going to get a good idea of whether this is going to cost you.
Yeah.
Can you see holes? Can you see the sky through your roof? Are there chimneys? What issue are these chimneys going to cause? It goes to the flooring, the insulation, things like that. There's all, has the timber been broken? Has it, been drilled into? Things like that. There's all these little things and big things as well that you won't kind of gauge the extent of if you don't even have a look. If you just think, oh, there's a loft, that's fine. It's not. You need to find out, is there water on the floor? Because that would obviously suggest that there's a leak. So there's these things, but that's, so we're going from, so you would have already collected your data from the ground, from the outside, and then your floors, and then your loft. And and then once you've done that, that is not the end of it. That's not the end of it, because you've got to check the electrics. How many times have you got? I mean, I'm guilty. I've gone into a property and I've said, "Oh, does the boiler work? Oh, do you know how old the boiler is?" I haven't even seen if the boiler is on or if it works. They haven't. I haven't asked them to put it on, because you don't think to. You just think, okay, well, there's a boiler there. They said it works, so I take it as gospel. But really, you should be looking at that boiler. Has it got leaks? How old's it? If they haven't got an age for you, there are things that you can do. You can look for rust and things like that. it's discoloration, because if it's brand new, it won't be discolored. If it's brand new, it's not going to be rusty. So even the basic things like that, your electrics, you think about the electrics. Now, the way the wiring is now has changed. You can tell whether or not the wiring is old or whether it's modern. And obviously, that's a cost. If it's old wiring, the chances are you're going to need to replace it.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that when you look at a property, it's more than just, oh, the wallpaper's a bit, or the wall's a bit grotty, oh, there's a damp patch in the ceiling, or there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
And then we had an exercise of pricing things up, and it was amazing. I mean, I was way out. Some things were far more expensive than I thought they would be. And then there was others that I thought was reasonably priced, and they were actually cheaper. So, and obviously as well with pricing, it depends on your area.
Yeah. We're used to
If you're down
Surrey.
south, yeah,
Mm.
you're down south, you're gonna pay a lot more than you would up north.
Mm.
Um,
And where was
um,
Rob? Where's Rob based?
he's based in Stoke-on-Trent,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
so he's up north. I think that's yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, so so prices again, they, like I say, they vary from south to north. South will be far more expensive than up north. And yeah, and it was, and
I suppose
also
that was reflected in your estimates as well. Was that reflected in your estimates?
there would be differences in prices because down in Surrey, when we do our BRRs, uh, the materials, etc., are a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
You also need to get quotes from qualified builders, and once you've got the quotes from there, you will be able to, over time, start to gauge,
Mm.
whereabouts prices should be for
Yeah.
your area. Um, and again, when it comes to quotes, don't always go for the cheapest.
No, no.
Cheapest doesn't mean the
Sometimes you
best.
learn that the hard way, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, and there's also there's a lot of paperwork involved. People don't realize, they think that, oh, well, that's okay. I will get the builders in, I will get the work done, and I will go away with my little profit. There is paperwork to be done, and you have to know what paperwork is involved. You are subcontracting these people. There, there are rules around businesses hiring subcontractors.
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to make sure that you are aware of the rules and regulations.
It all comes under
Or you
due
need
diligence, though, doesn't it?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's with everything in. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about in our last podcast about, or the best advice, or etc., that you've had or you've been given in
Yeah.
business. And I would have to say, do your due
Do
diligence.
your due diligence.
To
Yeah.
be quite honest, that
Yeah.
is something that you really need to be hot on, your due
Yeah.
diligence. It doesn't matter whether you know the person or not, you do your due diligence. So anyway, the bottom line is, was the course worth it? I thought 100%. I would recommend that if you want to improve your knowledge on refurbs, if you want to not do that finger in the air guesstimate, and
Mm.
you want to have a proper, clear idea of what you're doing and what you're looking out for,
Mm.
do the course.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, isn't he going to be doing a webinar as
he
well?
is going to be doing a webinar in the future, and that's how he normally does it. He's probably only had, I think this is his first face-to-face one.
Mm.
But yeah, so if you can get on it, get on it. It's worth every penny. But I found particularly that the face-to-face one was very useful, because you can ask whatever question you want. So yeah, it was by far one of the best courses I've been on, and definitely value for money. And yeah, so I'd just like to say thank you, Rob and Julie. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Cool. And on that note, I think we need to end it here.
It's goodbye from me.
And from me.